So how's it going?
It's okay.
Yeah, how's the foot? The toe?
It's a lot better.
Yeah.
So I can wear shoes today. Yesterday it was still too sore, but if I touch it, it's still sore. But if it's not hurting me in the shoes, so that's good.
So you passed the shoe test.
I passed the shoe test. Actually,
good.
on the weekend I came in. So for context, today is Tuesday.
Yeah.
On Saturday I came in for physiotherapy, and Amruta, she used the ultrasound machine, what's it called there?
Well, the Chattanooga
Okay.
ultrasound machine. Yeah.
And basically what she did is she said that the frequency helps the tissues repair faster. So then rather than it being complete, like taking 10 days for me to feel better, she said I should feel better in less than a week. And so, I don't know, I'm guessing it's working. 'Cause
Seems
it's
to be
been pretty
working.
fast.
Yeah. Those sound waves are pretty effective. Awesome.
So it's good. I'm happy. I can do my longevity training today.
Great, yeah. And on that note, I think you've been training now for about 6 weeks, right?
That's right.
How's it going so far?
It's actually pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've been feeling stronger. So I've noticed that in the training itself, like I have more muscle endurance. As you've taught me, is the difference between muscle
Strength
endurance
and endurance,
and other types of endurance and metabolic health.
Right.
So I'm able to do certain activities better and for longer. So I do feel stronger. And I do feel like I have more energy. I'm sleeping better, I've noticed, because I'm getting more cardio. So at night, I'm falling asleep faster, as opposed to the typical like 20 to 30 minutes it would take me. When I go to bed, I'm tired and I'm going right to bed.
Right away.
So I think the quality of my sleep is improving. And what else? And also I've noticed that I have a little bit more energy during the day. I feel a little bit more clear-headed, which is good.
Cool. Yeah. So you've listed like some of the kind of benefits from exercise that are like outside of the workout, but you also, it sounded like you kind of mentioned a few of the things that have actually improved within the workouts. So
That's right.
Can you maybe elaborate on that a little bit? Like, are the workouts getting easier than they were before?
So Juan and Ivan, they switch it up.
Yeah.
Those are the two trainers
Right.
that we're doing longevity training right now.
Yeah.
So they switch it up. So you're not always doing the same thing, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
But I have noticed that with the things that we are doing, you know, even when I circle back to, let's say we're doing push-ups on one of the, like I can do more push-ups.
I think I remember I was there when I saw
that
you.
That one was actually significantly better than the first time I tried.
Yeah.
The first time I couldn't get up.
I remember you did more or less a full one.
Right.
Looked like you needed a hospital at the end of it, but you did it. Yeah.
So the push-ups and like some of the other strength exercises are better, and I'm feeling stronger. I'm feeling like slowly I'm getting stronger and better on the treadmills. I was hoping to do a gait analysis last week,
Right, but then
I
you had
was
the foot.
injured.
Yeah,
So
okay.
maybe we'll have time to do it later today.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, well, it's an interesting point because, you know, sometimes if you think about when we start these programs, a lot of times we do testing. As you know, we tested you, and, you know, the next test might not be for, who knows, 10 weeks, a few months, 3 months or something like that. And you certainly would expect to see improvements in the test results after a certain amount of time. But there are these things that you do, as you said, not all the time, but fairly consistently in the workout. Maybe a strength exercise like push-ups, maybe running at a certain speed or whatever it is. And so, you know, if you think about it, the workout itself can kind of act like a test if you're able to do something better now than you were even 1 week ago or 2 weeks ago or whatever. And you've had a little bit of that experience, right?
100%, yeah.
So that's cool, yeah. And so I think maybe, you know, that will act as like a positive feedback and kind of a reinforcing mechanism to say, hey, you know, I am improving.
Right.
Yeah.
I did the one thing I think I need to work on. So embarrassing. I have not, like, ever since we started exercising.
Yeah.
I've been very lax with my diet, as you might have mentioned.
I haven't noticed, no, honestly. I haven't noticed the late night snacking and the cookies.
The chocolate.
Yes, yeah, the chocolate. Yeah.
So
I hadn't noticed, but now that you mention it.
When we first sat down together, it was right around Easter. So that was a time of celebration and feasting.
A time of chocolate.
And since then, I purchased, I don't know if you did notice, because I bought in bulk uh, chocolate from that
yeah.
company that
I noticed.
I really like, and you enjoyed some as well.
I noticed those boxes aren't there anymore, though.
Well, there's a lot of people eating them.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, so the chocolates, the other snacks, the cookies my mom always makes us. I haven't been, like, I guess because I figured, oh, I'm exercising so I can eat, but I'm not. I'm also not 28 anymore. I'm not even 35 anymore. So there's a difference. Like when I can't just, I have to remember, and I'm not exercising 4 or 5 times a week. I'm not exercising at that athletic level where you really can just eat what you want. Like there is a point, people say, oh, that person can eat what they want. Well, if you are exercising, if you're doing high intensity exercise 3-4 times a week, and on top of other things, strength training, you probably can eat what you want. Not everybody, but probably. Whereas I'm not there yet. Like I'm doing longevity training 1, maybe 2 times a week. I'm doing some other types of some other exercises in between. Right. But I'm definitely not at an athletic level. So I think I need to like focus on my diet next because although I'm getting stronger, like if I bet you if we did a body composition scale, I'll say that again.
Body composition analysis.
I bet I would bet that I've actually gained a little bit of fat since our last thing.
Well, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I think the way to think about how much you can eat or how much you should eat or whatever is you sort of have to match that against the volume of exercise more than anything else. So I know you mentioned athletes a few times, and of course we train lots of athletes in here. And one of the things with athletes is it's not uncommon to train twice a day, and each of those workouts is usually at a moderate or a high intensity. There may be some recovery in between, but it's almost every day of perhaps 2, 3, or more hours. Right. So with that volume, they're burning so many calories that. Of course, they need enough protein. They need fruits and vegetables. They need to have good, healthy food. Right. But the quantity of food isn't really a big deal a lot of times. And I can tell you even from personal experience, way back when when I was playing soccer in university, as an example, no matter how much I ate, I would actually lose weight throughout the season. I would be maybe 2 or 3 kilograms lighter than when I started. And lots of athletes go through that. Now, here we are. As you said, you're not an athlete. As you said, the volume of training, there's something there, but it might be 3 days a week, 4 days a week, I think, an hour each time. You're not training with enough volume to not be a little bit cautious then about how many calories you consume. So
and the quality of the foods I'm consuming. Like if I'm not eating all the time, but I'm definitely eating. I've been eating more sugary foods, higher fat foods. Higher caloric foods, I should say, right? Yeah. So I think now I'm not gaining weight, so that's great. And I think if I were,
you have checked that.
I have checked it.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I have checked it. I'm not gaining weight
because we haven't tested you.
No.
Right? But,
I'm
you're
pretty much. I'm not gaining weight. I'm feeling stronger. So if I'm getting stronger, that tells me I'm gaining a little bit of muscle. Right?
Probably. Yeah.
So but I'm afraid to like really because it's just, when you're doing if you're doing 6 weeks of training and you're eating well and you're serious about the training, you'll see results. Right. Right? Yeah. So I'm feeling results.
Okay. But
I'm not doing that other half of it. So I think that's probably the next step for me.
Yeah. Speaks to the importance also maybe of having, a nutrition professional, someone dedicated just to that side of things.
Right.
And,
well, that's
yeah.
So I've been talking to Elisa. Hopefully I'll get a chance to speak with her next week. Yeah. She is our nutrition professional here. Right. And hopefully she'll give me some good advice.
I think so. Yeah. She'll probably help you keep you on track a bit more with that side of things. It is interesting too that you've mentioned again. We talked about sort of the positive side effects in the workouts. Some of those positive side effects that are coming just in your everyday life. You have more energy. You feel a little stronger. That kind of thing. And believe it or not, it's quite normal, let's say, if you are exercising consistently, but not exactly being as diligent with your diet as you should be or as you could be, it's quite normal to see a lot of those positive effects, stronger, more energy, more muscle, all of it, but still a little more body fat than you'd like.
Right.
And so these are almost like separate areas of fitness that each need their own attention. You can get in very good shape through exercise, but without diet, you can't optimize your fitness. And body composition, like it's an interesting one because maybe people want to look better, and if you have a little less fat or whatever, there's a kind of an aesthetic side to it.
Right.
But we've talked a lot about this. Like, what's the other reason? Let's say that you'd want to have a healthy percentage of body fat, for example, or have a healthy body weight and have a healthy body fat percentage outside of the way it looks.
I'm more concerned with like we've discussed this before, my overall health. Like I know the more fat I have and the less muscle I have, is the harder it is. I don't know how else to say this except by saying the harder it is for me as I age. Right. One of the things that's really important to me is cognitive decline. I'm sure that you know this because I'm always sending you little clips about cognitive decline. And all the research now is showing that the more muscle we have as we get older, as we're in our 50s and 60s, and beyond that, after 65, 70s, it's very difficult to build muscle.
Right.
So we want to build it before
earlier,
that, and then we just want to maintain it once we're older, right? The more muscle we have, the less likely we are to suffer from typical cognitive decline, dementia, and Alzheimer's. And there's even another study coming out, and I haven't looked into this at length, but they're saying especially our leg muscles, because they're so big and strong, it's important to build those. So for me, having a lot of muscle and not having a lot of body fat, because then even women, as we get older, we start to have more visceral fat. Now we know visceral fat is bad for our organs. We know that it can cause all kinds of problems, and maybe you can speak about that more from a medical standpoint. Yeah. So I don't want to have that extra fat, because I know then there's a tipping point. Like you have body fat, and then you just start gaining a little bit more, and next thing you know, you have too much visceral fat. Right, so I don't want to have that fat, because I don't want to go past that tipping point. On, let's say we have a winter where, there's
where you hibernate.
Yeah, where you hibernate. And then the next thing,
gather all the calories.
Right?
Yeah.
So
it's an interesting point because that's why body composition analysis is so effective, because it tells you how much body fat you have, but it also tells you what percentage of your body mass is made up of muscle. And so more or less, those are the two variables that you can sort of increase or decrease. And there's a certain amount of fat that's healthy, but beyond that, it starts to become unhealthy in and of itself. So if you have higher body fat percentage, even if you're exercising, even if your heart is strong, even if your muscles are strong, all of it, but you're carrying extra fat, you're still at a greater risk of kind of all the chronic diseases. Heart disease, I know you mentioned, cancer, diseases of the organs, and there can be fat in and around the organs themselves. Neurodegenerative diseases, so that's when we say cognitive, that's the kind of dementia, Alzheimer's, all of that. People are at higher risk of those diseases simply if they have an unhealthy amount of body fat. One. And then the other side of that is, of course, the more weight you're carrying as fat, well, the less percentage-wise anyway that you have as muscle, because they are sort of
in competition.
Yeah, they're in competition with each other. They're counterintuitive to each other. Right. If you change your body composition, typically you either add muscle and lose a bit of fat, or you gain fat and eventually you start to lose muscle percentage-wise. Right. So the idea with exercise and diet, while the exercise is there to help you build and then maintain muscle, including the size of the muscle, not just strength, the size and the amount. And at the same time, exercise can help you lose fat, but you need to watch what you eat to lose fat too, because if you exercised for hours every day, but you kept consuming a high amount of calories, you'd lose some fat. Yeah. But you probably wouldn't be able to get or maintain, a healthy body composition. So, yeah.
Right. Okay, so I'm looking forward to meeting. I'm looking forward to meeting with Elisa. I mean, to be honest, I'm curious. I think I know how to eat healthy. I think everybody knows how to eat healthy, or at least not eat. No, I should rephrase that.
Yeah, they know.
Everyone knows how not to
eat
unhealthy.
Okay. All right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Or how to prevent themselves from eating unhealthy foods. There's a whole bunch of foods that we know that we should just take out of our diet right away, like chips, chocolates,
But they taste
cookies,
good.
but they taste good. We know, and even the processed foods, like we have young kids, and sometimes it's just really easy to throw those chicken fingers and fries in the oven.
And not only that, I mean, I was having a laugh about this yesterday because we took the two of them to gymnastics class, and there's snacks that are packed, and it's like when you have 2-3 minutes to pack food, even the time that it takes to spread something on a piece of bread or whatever, it's too much. So you grab a granola bar, you grab yogis, and then you look in the lunch bag, and it's calories, and maybe there's a bit of protein in there, but it's all packaged processed foods. Yeah.
And for our kids, because we give them a lot of good stuff at home, like those kinds of things here and there, I don't mind so much. But the problem is that when we're out with them, then we end up eating that too.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
so it's like, oh well, let's have the gummies, let's have whatever.
Oh yeah, the Welch's,
So basically, I think. I know that those chicken fingers and fries that we have maybe once a week, or if they're not healthy. Yeah. But the idea is to make sure that we're not doing that every day. That it's not 4 times or 5 times a week. It's 1 time a week, right? Or if we're going to do hot dogs, and I get the healthy hot dogs, the natural ones without all the stuff. Yeah. They're still hot dogs, and we usually don't eat hot dogs with healthy food. You're putting condiments on it, one time a week. Not chicken fingers, fries, hot dogs, then something else, then another fried oven thing. I think ideally cooking and making sure that those dishes are not high in sugar, not processed, all that good kind of stuff.
Well, if you think about it, even back to kind of the exercise science side of things, we've talked about periodization, we've talked about sort of the acute versus chronic load. And the concept of not trying to make any real drastic changes, because when you make a drastic change, what you do is you make the acute load too high relative to the chronic load, too much too soon. Right. You can kind of think of changes to the diet and all that in the same way. So if everything you're doing is healthy, I don't know, you have 21 meals in a week, and
it's not sustainable.
And well, hold on. But if you have 21 meals available in a week, that's 7 days, 3 meals a day, and 18 or 19 are healthy, and 1 or 2 are not. Well, in fact, that's not such a deviation from the average, is it? Right. On the other hand, if half of the meals, 10, 11, whatever, every week are unhealthy, then that's kind of a deviation from sort of that healthy average.
Right.
Okay, so what you've mentioned about we don't want to overdo the consumption of the unhealthy foods. We want to try to make sure that most of what we do is healthy. Right. And then in that case, those little deviations aren't going to be as much of a problem. Right. Eventually, if you really want to get into a more of a leaner physique, if you want to really optimize your body composition and all of that, well, you got to start cutting those out too, and there's a limit maybe to how realistic that is. Right. But I like to think of it in that way, because I think for me it helps me to understand. I don't know if it helps other people to understand.
Well, I guess the reason I brought that up is because ultimately we have small kids. And a lot of other parents out there, they just when you have small kids and you're busy and you're working and all the things, you sometimes you need just quick fixes. You need to feed your kids. Feeding your kids is more important than
making sure everything is 100% healthy.
Exactly. So
that's why we get these terms dad bod and all that, right? It's like everyone sort of acknowledges that when you have kids, the eating habits are more challenging.
But I am looking forward to meeting with Elisa. I'm sure she'll have a lot of good advice for me, and I'm sure that she's going to say a few things to me that will not only encourage me, but sort of, I guess, what's that expression, light a fire under your ass, make you want to do something. Yeah. And she'll probably teach me and tell me things that I don't know. So I'm looking forward to that.
Good. She knows her stuff.
She does.
Full disclosure, she's also a parent and a mother, and so she's been through it. Her kids are even a little older, so so she's managed those challenges herself too, which is good. Yeah. So I did want to ask you a little bit more about the injury itself and kind of, just how you managed it, because like it's one of those things like. This didn't happen while you were exercising.
No,
This was literally. I was in the house. I mean, I remember hearing you screaming actually, which was kind of scary. But you know, you stubbed your pinky toe, and like I know, like I've been there. You know, I know you. In fact, you were worried that it was fractured, and you got an X-ray and all that. But you know, it's just from looking at it and remembering when it's happened to me, I suspected it wasn't fractured, but I do know that, you know, that how painful it is and all of that. But despite that pain and that discomfort and everything that you had, you know, you continued to exercise, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Why?
Why? Because I didn't want to miss my session.
Okay. Sure.
I thought it's like I finally was on a roll. Like last week, you know, after my longevity, I was like I mentioned earlier, like I was feeling really strong. Better. I was like, wow, I'm really like, things are changing. Things are getting better. I have more energy. I'm stronger. I can do things that I couldn't do before. My squats are really good. I had a session with Rakesh where we looked at my feet, and like I can actually do squats with my feet straight without it hurting, pulling on my knee, and like things. And now I'm injured, and I'm gonna have to like take a week off. And we know what happens after 2-3 weeks of not training. Your body, you start to detrain. You know, even after a week, you start to detrain. We need regular exercise. I mean, and it doesn't help that my job is a desk job. Like I come here, whether I'm here or at home, like we're just sitting down in meetings on my computer all day, right? So, I really didn't, I wanted to continue to train. I was worried though. It did hurt a lot, and it stung and it burned throughout the night. And I know you tried to reassure me. You said that, you know, it's fine. But I think what happened was the next day I put shoes on, and because I had to go to the store,
you had to
and
go out,
and when I took my shoes off, my foot was black, my toe was black, and that was scary, and I thought, oh, geez, well, what if it's like I've heard many stories of people that they hit their finger, they hit their toe, they have a fracture, but you know they kind of just deal with the pain. They don't know. They think it's just a sprain, and then it turns out it was fractured, and then it just kind of bothers them for years later. They never healed properly. Their finger healed kind of crooked, right, because it wasn't aligned. So I went to the doctor. He looked at it and he said, "I think you need an X-ray." And we got an X-ray. He put an urgent, you know, thing on it. So I got the results the next morning, and luckily it was just tissue damage. So.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, like it's an interesting point though about there might be a fear even of detraining and of losing all those, you know, those positive results and losing the momentum really from the results, and that's a real thing. Of course, not to say that it's like everyone stubs their toe all the time, but there are injuries that come up, sometimes from the exercise itself, and you know that didn't happen in your case, but that can happen. And then also, of course, you know, stub your toe or other little things that just, you know, clumsy things that happen because the house is full of obstacles. Yeah. Okay. But you know, this sort of whether it's motivation or even just sort of like an attitude that you kind of have to have, not to let those injuries that are going to happen, not to let them stop you. You can modify exercise when you're hurt. That's a key lesson, and that's taken, you know, we're always talking about train like an athlete. That's how athletes are. It is imperative. In fact, literally this morning I was talking to a father of a girl who's, you know, she's a college player and has been dealing with some injuries now, can't run. Okay, now you said it perfectly. You detrain if you don't keep exercising. Detraining literally means your fitness starts to decrease, and aerobic fitness is a tough one because you can lose aerobic fitness with about 1 week of inactivity, 6 to 7 days. Do you know how long it takes to get back what you've lost?
I'm guessing 3 weeks.
You can multiply, you can take the number of days that it takes to lose, and that's the number of weeks. Okay, so imagine, you know, 6 days, 7 days, well, that's 6 to 7 weeks that it's going to take to get back the level of fitness that you lost. Okay, strength can last a little longer or whatever, but you know, deconditioning is not a good thing for anybody. And of course, for athletes, they can't afford it at all because this is a college player. It's, you know, here we are, it's June. She has to start her preseason in August, right? So we were talking about bike workouts, swimming workouts, other things, upper body exercises, things that she can do while the injury heals. And so modifying exercise when you're hurt is not just something that it's like it's a good idea. You have to do it.
Right.
Because what's the alternative? The alternative is inactivity, and then your fitness is worse than it was before, and then it's going to be even harder for you to even get back into the routine that you were. Never mind building, never mind, improving. The momentum is gone, and it's much harder to get it back. So that's awesome that you did that. And I'll tell you just another little, it's a logical fallacy. That I think all humans sort of suffer from it in some way, and it can be applied to exercise. It's called the all or nothing fallacy.
Right.
So the all or nothing fallacy essentially states that once you kind of get it into your head that there's a certain way to do something, there's a certain way that you're supposed to, tie your shoes. There's a certain way that you're supposed to, start your car, a certain route you're supposed to take to work or whatever, right? Or a certain exercise routine, okay, a certain number of days and whatever in the week. And that's the routine, and that's what it is. Once you've got that in your head that that's the way to do it, and there's a deviation from that that's out of your control. You get hurt, okay, I know you couldn't run, right, for a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Now, if in your head, if running is the way to build fitness and that's the way to do it and it has to be 3 days a week and now you can't run, well, the all or nothing fallacy then kicks in and you say, well, okay, if I can't run, I can't exercise at all.
Right.
So all, meaning the running, or nothing, meaning no exercise at all. It's a fallacy because it's not true.
Right.
In fact, okay, you can't run, you can walk.
Right.
Even if walking hurts, you can ride a bike, which I know I saw you do it, right? Yeah. And there's, as I said,
actually, I really enjoyed that because you switched it up. Like it's nice to switch it up,
Yeah. There's even some good evidence to show that some variety, variability in training is effective. It sometimes stimulates improvements in fitness and gets you past plateaus and all that.
Now that you mention that, I do want to, because we were talking about that when we were exercising that day when we did the longevity training on the bike.
You and I?
No,
or
I
no,
was talking with them up there, and with Daniela and Juwan. And I remembered that if you are always doing the same type of cardio, you're actually doing the same type of cardio all the time is what led me to get injured at the beginning, but like 5 years ago, and then again prior to that almost 9 years ago. I think it was 2017 the first time I think I tore my calf because I decided to, no, it was earlier than that. It was more than 10 years ago. It was 2015. I tore my calf muscle because I went on an 11-kilometer run without, it was so hold on a
Talking
second.
about deviation from the acute to chronic load ratio, right?
I had a lot of endurance. I had a lot of energy. I had a lot of muscle endurance because I was always riding. I was doing little spin classes. I was exercising regularly. So I was strong in that capacity. Like my leg muscles were strong. And I used to like to run once in a while, and I would sometimes go on like small runs, or I would do the elliptical like at the gym. But I didn't go on long outdoor runs. So it was a beautiful day. I think it was spring, kind of like the weather is now. And I thought, oh man, what a great day. I'm going to go for a long run in the park. And where I lived at the time, you could go from the residential area into the park. And it was it was a huge park, right? So I ran as far as I wanted to. And then I came back and I did my map, and it was 11.6 kilometers, okay? The next day, the pain that I had, and it lasted for 3 months. I could not, I had that injury, and then I was really forced to not, I couldn't go to spin classes.
This shows that why everybody should be studying exercise science and the principles of training, because you have your principle of overload where, again, you violated the acute to chronic load ratio. You hadn't been doing enough running to justify the 11 kilometers. There's also something called the principle of specificity, which means that the adaptations that you make, so you're doing a lot of spinning, you're doing a lot of other stuff, you're very fit for cycling, but that fitness doesn't necessarily translate to fitness for running. You need to, run more to be a better runner. ironically enough, right? Okay, there's even something called the principle of variation, or sometimes called principle of variability. The basic idea, that's kind of like we touched on it a few minutes ago, is that sometimes mixing in different types of exercise can lead to better overall improvements in fitness. And so in any case, if you're forced to do that because of an injury, you get hurt, you can't run, well, now you have to cycle. Yeah, it sucks that you can't run, but there's a silver lining there, which is you get to train cycling a bit more. You get variability, you get something different, and it allows you to disprove the all or nothing fallacy, which is that no, there isn't just one way to exercise, and you have to stick to that routine, and if you don't, you're not fit, and you're not keeping up with what you're supposed to be doing. You can change, you can modify, and the reality is that some exercise is always better than no exercise, always.
And with that said, I think it's going to be time for us to do our longevity training soon.
Oh, right, yeah, is it time? Yeah, okay, all right.
Okay. All right.